Hi everyone, and welcome back to Carols of Wisdom from my first Snow by Year. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about capitalism. So after my second installment of Things That Make Me Mad, in that video I had made a comment about how I'm not necessarily anti-capitalist. And that was meant to just convey that I have not yet really taken a firm stance on either side of that matter. I feel like I lack the information and awareness of both the system of capitalism and the other alternatives and, the ones that exist already and the ones that don't exist, the possibilities, to take that stance. I have a level of discomfort, maybe it's the journalist tendencies of like having to propose an alternative or something like that. I saw somewhere that if you ask a newspaper, I think it was in the Vlogbrothers latest video from Hank Green, about how if you ask a newspaper or a publication to comment on a matter, they'll take a few months, do some research, and have to propose an alternative. So that's where I'm getting that from. But I feel some discomfort in just coming on here and saying I'm anti-capitalist without having alternatives in mind or having a pathway forward that's either just as good as the current system or better. And maybe that's not necessary to have an opinion, but for me, if I don't have other perspectives on that opinion in a practical sense, it's a little bit not constructive to just share opinions like that. It kind of strikes me as just complaining with no basis. And maybe not no basis, because there are problems with the system of capitalism, many of which causing the things that I complained about in those two videos of Things That Make Me Mad. So it's not that there's nothing to complain about in the current system, but I guess complaining with no solution to me feels futile. And so now I'm starting to look into solutions to the problems created by capitalism. And I still don't know firsthand that these problems are impossible to solve through regulation of capitalism, even though some of my comments say that it is truly impossible because capitalism as a system is built on profit over all else. And so therefore exploitation is kind of a byproduct of the system, a totally unavoidable byproduct, because there's nothing that encourages people to care about it, basically not exploiting people and cutting corners in pursuit of their bottom line. And this might be totally true. I'm not trying to say that I don't believe this. I'm just trying to say that I haven't seen or done the research myself, or I'm not aware enough of the systems. So anyway, with that disclaimer out of the way, the other part of the puzzle that I feel like makes me reluctant to say I'm straight out anti-capitalist is because when I was reading those comments, some of them, again, focusing on how capitalism is profit-driven and relies on exploitation, and that's how it always has to be capitalism, and that's the system under which we're currently living. My question is, why doesn't everybody hate capitalism, and why isn't everybody anti-capitalist in that case? And okay, you're never going to get everybody on board, especially not the billionaires that capitalism serves, but why aren't more people out here on the internet talking about anti-capitalism? Is it just that the algorithm isn't going to serve that type of content? There's some kind of lack of understanding here. And it's not even just on the internet. I don't get the sense that people in my everyday life are mad about capitalism either. Most people, right? And it's not even just because I don't have these conversations with them, but when I talk about adjacent things, right? Shopping, stores that I do and don't shop at, Amazon, for instance, everybody around me, everybody I know seems to have an Amazon Prime membership, for example. And I do, when it comes up, I say, we try not to use Amazon, like supporting the mega company is not necessarily something that feels great to me. And it just seems like it's kind of like, oh, okay, like rolls off, like no deeper discussion invited there, or no curiosity about it. I guess I just have this kind of maybe lack of personal understanding here. Like, why isn't everybody mad about it? Why isn't everybody anti-capitalist? And so I guess that's kind of the other part of this that I would like to have a better understanding of. Not because I want to have a sheep tribe of people behind me, not because I need to have the herd of support to have this opinion, but because it does truly make me question whether I know enough about it to have this opinion. And maybe that is what the herd mentality actually is, as far as just going with whatever most people think. I guess the thing is, I don't blindly support capitalism either, right? So I'm not part of this herd or that herd right now. I'm herdless. I'm just wandering around trying to observe the herds and gather information. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm more comfortable being without a herd than in a herd of people that I'm not totally sure that I agree with. Partly because if I put myself in that herd, I will then be exposed to everything they think and believe, and maybe have decreased capacity to form my own thoughts and beliefs on this. I think I saw a video recently from Veritasium, making the Harry Potter reference there. Whatever the science channel is, the element of truth. I'll link it up here, about how the smarter you are, the more likely you're to get this wrong or whatever. And it was kind of about political beliefs. And, you know, it might be an inflammatory video for people who have opinions about the way we think regarding politics. And that's not my intention here. It did just make me think that my way of engaging with this is maybe more valid than just picking a side and saying, okay, I'm anti-capitalist, and going deep into that before I have the tools myself to have a thoughtful dialogue about it. So that's that's all of that out of the way. I was recommended the book Vulture Capitalism, and I will be reading that. I might have broken my no-buy again as far as Black Friday goals for what was on my list versus what was not. I didn't want to buy any more books, but at the time that I filmed that and made my lists, I did not have this new kind of area of information seeking that I wanted to expand upon. And this one does feel fairly important. It does actually feel like it could be a strong pillar of what I share online if I do learn about this and decide, wow, I really do need to become a voice anti-capitalism. And I want to be prepared to do that if that's kind of what seems to be the best course of action. And so I went on thrift books and my local libraries and tried to reserve, you know, what was available to reserve. And then Vulture Capitalism is not at my local library, so I had to order that one. And I also am going to read the Bernie Sanders book, It's Okay to Be Mad at Capitalism. And I will also delve into the older systems, Marxism, communism, socialism, etc. So anyway, if you have insights, this is kind of a crowdsourcing video as well. I maybe should have said that at the beginning. This is kind of a crowdsourcing video of ideas. If you have thoughts, if you have resources, please comment down below. And if you have any insights as to why people think the way they think, I just don't believe it can be as simple as we're living okay in the system, so therefore we don't question it, right? Is this another golden age where it's going to fall eventually, but while we're still in the golden age, we're okay to be complicit with whatever has enabled this for us as consumers, as citizens of the societies? And I'm not saying that everybody viewing this video is going to be a citizen of a developed world society or whatever the term for it is, over-consuming person. You know, if you have insights to share based on not being in one of these over-consumerist countries that I think are often kind of cited as the biggest proponents of capitalism and consumer goods and waste and all these, you know, problems, let me know about that as well. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me what I don't know. Tell me where to find the information. Don't tell me what opinion to have necessarily, but, you know, if you have a pathway to better understanding, I would love to hear about it. I mean, you can tell me what opinion to have, I just might not take it at face value. But, you know, it just comes back to that question of, if we're on a path to destruction, to human destruction, through human behavior, and why are we not doing anything about it? Why are the people at the top not able to exert positive control, if that makes sense? Do they not have the interests of humanity as a species in mind? Is that even possible? How can somebody, you know, a fellow human, be that short-sighted? And I guess the final questions I have on this topic are, if we do know, you know, given that we do know that capitalism comes with a whole host of problems and things that we don't want to support, even as a part of the system, unavoidably right now, what are the messages that we need to hear? What are the messages we need to spread? What are the practices specifically that we need to advocate for, and who do we need to go to start advocating for these things? This is partly why I do follow sustainability channels. They sometimes do have practical suggestions for how to advocate for better sustainability practices, and that's great. I have not seen a lot about capitalism in a direct sense. And again, perhaps the algorithm has just not figured out that that's what I want to see right now, and maybe it is already out there. Maybe there's something more nefarious at play here, and maybe the algorithm does not promote material that's anti-capitalist, since that kind of defeats the purpose of its own systems running on advertisements and consumerism. The plot thickens. And it's kind of, the semi-recent election is still kind of ringing in my ears as far as people can be voting for the right side, but still not have a full understanding of the politics, of the changes that could be enacted, of the things that we should be striving for in a direct and practical way. There's so many issues involved, and the dismantling of a capitalist society is not a narrative that's inherently political in my mind right now. I could be completely wrong about that, but I feel like no matter what side of the great divide we fall on, as far as maybe other issues or general issues, I just don't see capitalism as a whole treated in the same way. And when one looks at certain policies, we can identify certain goals of certain policies as more feeding into the problematic narratives of capitalism, certainly. But beyond that, it's still difficult for me to ascertain what the next steps really could be. Maybe this is a very unwise video to be posting, but again, I have trust in my community to view this in a constructive and helpful way, and use your powers of wisdom to help me, to inform me. I am asking sincerely for your help and your knowledge and your wisdom. Point me in the direction that's going to get me educated, get me the information that I seek, and help us all move forward, to be honest. I think we can all engage in thoughtful discussion in the comments of this one. Maybe this is a weird video to be posting during a month of Vlogmas. I didn't really address capitalism and Christmas at all, and I don't think I'm going to be honest, because I, for now, am devoting myself to tackling the kind of trickle-down effects of capitalism. And I kind of am aware of that now, again, after the dialogue and some of the comments. And, I might have been vaguely aware of it even before having those dialogues, but it's becoming more concrete. The fog is dissipating, if you will, and I might get there. By next year, I might be giving a guide on how to have an anti-capitalist Christmas. Who knows? But for now, I will leave us with this quest to be undertaken, and let's crowdsource, let's pool our resources, let's pool our opinions, let's pool our information in search of a greater good out there, a better system, and a happy new year. And I think even the awareness of the possibility of a better system can be helpful in bolstering our spirits and giving us kind of personal agency as far as how to act in line with those possible better systems, even if we don't have ultimate control over the running of a country or a society at large. All right, bye for now, and I will see you in the next one.